Well, howdy folks, Hellcracks here, and welcome to episode 110 of Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere. And today we're going to be talking about another clan mech, the 60-ton mech, the Vulture, aka Mad Dog. One of these lovely little clan Omni mechs. Now, the Vulture is an interesting mech that I like using on quite a bit. It's a lot of occasions because, well, it's a pretty versatile little machine. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of armor on it compared to some of the other clan mechs, but it gets the job done. And for what I like to do with it, and you'll find out here soon, is let's just go into the stats on this thing. Alright, the Vulture is 60 tons. It runs in about, the base model is, 2,350 battle value. Carries around 28 tons of pod space, which is really good. Which means it can dump a lot of firepower downrange. Has 12 double heat sinks on the engine. It is a 580 with XL edges. Has ferrofibrous armor. But for once, we have a clan mech without endosteel. Which is kind of an interesting thing. A clan mech without endosteel. It's kind of like a early version of an Omni mech, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe we should put some extra goodies on it. Now, if they would have put endosteel in it, I would have thrown all of it, all the extra tonnage, which would have been 3 tons, right into the armor. Because this thing has 160... 3 points of armor, which is not bad. It's about the same as what you find in Shadowhawk and stuff like that, but which is only 55 tons less, or 5 tons less of a 55-ton mech. But this thing can carry around, I think, was 211, something like that. So basically, if you put all the tonnage into more armor, this thing would be even more bad-ass vehicle. Alright, so it carries around 1 ferrofibrous in the head. It's got the XL engines in the 2 torsos, ferrofibrous in the left torso 2, right torso 2 ferrofibrous, 1 in each arm, and nothing in the leg. So you could, if you wanted to, put jump jets on this thing so you get some space to put jump jets, 2 in the leg and 1 in the center torso. If you want to go that route, you can do that. So, and that would, obviously would run you about 5 tons. But hey, if you want something that can get a little bit more mobile, let's say if you get in a safe fight, sky's the limit there. Because you can build these things however you want to. You just have to be within the pod space available. And the spaces in the internal areas where, it's available to put stuff. Alright, so you just plug and play. Alright, now the primary version... The Prime, it's kind of like Optimus Prime here, is the right arm carries a large pulse laser, has a medium pulse laser in the right arm, LRM 20 in the right torso with a ton of ammo, so not really great having just 1 ton. So you're running around with 6 shots. And then you have another large pulse laser in the right arm, another medium pulse laser in the left arm, or left arm, 2 of them. And then another LRM 20 in the left torso with another ton of ammo. So this thing, well, it sort of suffers from the heat problem. If you fire in both large pulse lasers or the LRM 20s all together, you're going to start cooking this thing pretty hard and heavy because, it only dissipates 24. So on the very first turn, if you fire those large pulses in those LRMs, then next thing you know, you're just like, well, you're no longer a fast mech, and it makes it easier to kill this guy quickly. So I don't know if it's necessarily the best configuration for this thing, but I guess if you fire your 2 medium pulse lasers and the LRMs up close, that could be almost like point blank stuff too. So it's hit or miss type of deal. So the Prime isn't a bad one. It just suffers from the heat problems because you can't fire. You have to figure out what do you want to fire. It's like you can either fire the large pulses and a medium pulse, or you can fire 2 large pulses and LRM 20 and go up on the heat scale. And the next turn you're having to fire, just say, 2 large pulses. It just depends on how you want to try to finagle your heat and make it work for you. It's not necessarily a good thing for you, but it's one that I don't mind because it can fire indirect if you want it to, because do that for 6 turns. You can use the LRM 20s as direct fire weapons, and then once they're out, then you don't have to worry about them. But that's a lot of tonnage that you're tossing around that's no longer able to be used because you run out of ammo. So in some cases I've done in the past is downsize them to like LRM 15s and then use that little bit extra tonnage and put some more heat sinks on it so I can dissipate more heat. Now we got the alpha version, which has an ER PPC in the right arm. It has 3 SRM6 in the right torso with 2 tons of ammo. Yes, like that. Has an LBX 5 autocannon in the left arm with a 4 tons of ammo, or 2 tons of ammo in the arm. And then it has 6 more SRM6s in the left torso with 3 more tons, or 2 tons, which is 30 shots. So this thing has a lot of SRMs. This is a very interesting one. So it does dissipate the infamous 24 heat. You do have 6 SRM6s. So you could hit with 36 missiles if all of them hit, and then you could do 72 points of damage for, what is it, 24 heat. And if you walk or run, usually that's the only thing that's going to affect you from going up on the heat scale. Or you could just hammer somebody at longer ranges with the ERPPC and the LBX and not worry about heat there. So that's not a problem there. So you can rip off body parts and stuff with that 15-point shot PPC, and then you can follow it up with some canister. Well, that's not a bad deal. But I really do like this version, and I've done something different on this version. I take that version there, and then I do some work on it. You're going to probably like this one. This one I call the I version, because I like it. Is you take the alpha version, upgrade the SRMs to SRM6 streaks. So now you have 6 SRM streaks, SRM6 streaks, okay. And then you downgrade the PPC and the autocannon. So now you have a ER large laser and an ER medium laser. That's 5 tons. And back it up with a targeting computer, which is 1 ton. So now you got a mech, which I call the I version, has 6 SRM6 streaks, and then it has an ER large laser and an ER medium laser. So as you're closing until you can get into range of the streaks, you're just plinking away. You're doing 10 here, 10 there, 10 here, 10 there, back up by a 7. So you're not worrying about any heat problems. Oh yeah, another thing is you take and add 1 more heat sink. So you have 20 or 13 doubles, so you dissipate 26. And then when you get into streak range, you can do this little number of, okay, I'm going to see how many of my SRMs lock, and then follow it up with so many other things. Because if you get all 6 of those, which I've done many times, is lock on with 6 SRM6 streaks and do 72 points of damage. This thing is a killer. I have killed so many mechs just due to criticals, chance of criticals, like hitting. I've taken out pilots before doing this. I've taken out chance of criticals, you know, because say if you do the roaming critical chance or you do the just plain old center torso chance of critical, I have killed so many mechs using that version of the mech, to the point where when I play people, they see a Vulture on the table, they know what's going to be coming, and they try to focus it down. So I have to hide the thing. It's kind of like, gotta hide it to the best of my ability until I can deliver the package. And let me tell you, 2-3 turns of getting hit by that many streaks, people are not going to be on the loving end of it. So there's one version right there. Alright, now we got the Bravo version. Has 3 medium pulse lasers, 2 SRM6 streaks in the right torso with a ton of ammo. Then we got 2 large lasers in the left arm, and LRM-20 left torso with Artemis, and then we have a ton of ammo in the left torso. So this one's not a bad one, where you do have some decent long-range weaponry, but it also suffers once again from the problem of heat, because you know the 2 ER larges right there, you can fire those at long range with those things, hit with both of them, and if you run, you're going up, you can do that 2 turns and something has to be shut off. So you can always turn around and then back it up, fire a large laser, and then the LRM 20 together to cool off, and then you go back to the thing until you get close enough then where your shorter range stuff gets into range. And that's where you jump over and hit them with the 2 streaks, 2 pulse lasers, and then throw in either, so that's 8, and yep, that's not a bad deal there. So 16. So you could throw in a LRM-20 in there and have to not use your large lasers, but you know, that's not a bad one. But that thing comes in around 2300 battle value. Alright, the configuration C has, now we start talking about carrying some big weapons. Has a Gauss rifle in the right arm with 2 tons of ammo, Gauss rifle in the left arm with 2 tons of ammo. This thing is stand back and just unload with Gauss rifles on somebody. Do that for 16 turns and just hit plank. Now I personally would rather have using the what do you call it, put a, let's say a Gauss rifle with a ERPPC, doing the same amount of damage, range is about the same, but then that frees up a bit more tonnage for some, maybe some closer range stuff like some pulse lasers or something of that nature. So if they get in close, then you can flip off the ERPPC and then hit them with the pulse, short range pulses and the Gauss rifle. So that's something to think about. Configuration D. Yeah, we got an ER medium laser, an ER small laser, double heat sink, an ATM-12 with 3 tons of ammo. We have an ER medium laser, an ER small with an ATM-12 in the left torso with 3 tons of ammo, and then 2 more medium pulse lasers in the center torso. So this one is one of those lovely ones that can sit at extreme range, hammer you with kind of 12-point blocks, and then when they get closer, then you hit them with the 2-pointers, and then when they get it close, then you hit them with the 3s. So that isn't a bad one. It's just that, you know, you have to worry about the number of missiles and stuff hitting, and you do have some decent weapons that can do some good damage up close and personal in their face. So that's something to think about. Not a bad one, but that one comes in at about 2,500. So that's one that I really haven't used all that much. I've used it before, but not that much. Now the E is, it has a HAG 30 in the right arm, with the right torso has a ton of ammo. Then they have another Hag 30 in the left arm with another ton of ammo in the left torso. So, and this one comes in pretty close to 2,000 battle value, which is, not a bad little machine if you want to go that route. You're talking a little bit later in the campaigns and stuff, and those hags do some decent damage. That's something that you can think about. Okay, then here we got another one, the F version, back to the hags again, but you got the smaller ones. So you got a Hag 20 with 2 tons of ammo, and then 2 are medium lasers in the right torso, another Hag 20 in the left arm with 2 tons of ammo in the left torso, and then 2 more E or medium lasers. So this one you're trading off a little bit different with the Hag system for some more enclose plinking type of weapons that can do your 7-point shots here and there. And that's more of a rounded type of system, so you're actually having a few more weapons on it, and obviously it's coming in with 2,300 battle value, so there is a slight difference in battle value just because of that. But yeah, I can see myself using that one, being it's a more rounded type of system. Then we got the H, which has a heavy laser in the right arm, 2 double heat sinks, an LRM-15 in the right torso with Artemis, and 2 tons of ammo, then another double heat sink in the right torso. Then we have 3 heavy medium lasers in the left arm with a double heat sink, and then an LRM-15 in the left torso with Artemis, and another 2 tons of ammo. And then we have left torso double heat sink, right and left leg double heat sink. So obviously this one knows that it's going to have a lot of heat problems due to all the heavy lasers that are on it. So you're going to be heating up pretty good, so you're going to have to throw a lot more into all the heat sinks to cool that thing off. It does a lot of damage. It can tear things up quickly, but you're going to have heat, so obviously it needs the heat sinks. And that one comes in at 2,100 battle value. So that isn't a bad one for later in the campaigns when you're getting up there. So I can see myself using that one. Now, overall, how to use Vulture. Being the Vulture is a 5/8 mover. Well, another one you could look at is, say, you have 28, so pod space. Now if you get into a city fight and if you're in any type of city campaign and you're able to, that what kind of battle you're going into, drop off 5 tons of pod space, throw in some jump jets, throw them in the legs and the center torso, and then that leaves you with 23 tons of pod space. Is still a lot of you can do with that. And then I would throw that more into some pulse lasers and stuff like that, so you're able to jump and then mitigate that jumping penalties if you have to get over buildings and stuff with some pulse lasers. So with 23, I'd put like a large pulse laser, and then let's say that leaves you 13, and if you put 5 medium pulse lasers, and you could almost think about, let's see, that leave you 2, 10, let's see, 6. Yeah, it would take 3 tons if you want to put a targeting computer on it. Something you could think about is a large pulse, 2 medium pulses, that's 2 tons. Yeah, you could do that route. Put a target computer also, combine that together. That would be pretty nasty. Target computer and pulse lasers, so if you're in a city fight, then you can move around and not have to worry too much about missing as much, and then getting in, jumping on top of people and stuff like that. But overall, what I like to do with my Vultures is it's a fast mech, being a 5/8. You have to like I said, there's many times when I see a Vulture, I know that the armor values is not as much as, say, of a Ryokan. And if you can hit the Vulture quickly, you can take it out of action because of the lack of armor compared to a lot of the other clan mechs. And the speed isn't there when you compare it to a lot of the other clan mechs. So this thing does suffer from being targeted and focus fired down. So it's one of those deals where you try and use as much cover and concealment as possible. With the 5/8 movement, you can get into terrain that's going to give you some increased modifiers, kind of the old give and take. I always like to do is like, well, if I can park into a heavy wooded area and maximize my benefit, all for it. Do the best you can with that way, get in behind partial cover, use hills and everything, and then you're trying to get, a lot of times using this to get on the flank. I like using it as kind of a leader, star leader for a medium lance, or not lance, but star. And you throw that in there and say you got a couple Ryokans of Vulture, and then you throw in a Puma or something of that nature, where you got some lighter, faster ones that are your eyes and ears, and then you're hitting the flanks with these guys, and you're cutting the corners with them to get around, and then they can carry some decent firepower. Usually, in that case, I'm always using them as like a fire support mech, as the fire support platform. You know, where you got the one with the LRM 20s on it. You know, the Prime makes a good version for it, where you just unloading with it. And a lot of times I do, well, there's one version I do like to use where I put at least 2 tons of, use 2 LRM 20s with Artemis, and then throw in 2 tons of ammo also with that, and that helps out pretty good when it comes to hitting your targets a little bit harder from a different range. And then you throw in a couple more heat sinks and maybe an ER large laser to balance it out some. So that's kind of like how I like to use them, is star leaders. And then if you get into the higher stars, where you say a heavy star or an assault star, a lot of times a Vulture can make a good scout. You know, if you load them up in a slightly different configuration of put some Beagle, ECM, etc. So it's adding a little bit to the, so the assaults or the heavier guys are the ones that can carry more of the weaponry and have the armor, so they're taking the point. These guys use one of these, is creating the ECM bubble, so you can shut down a lot of different effects, especially if you're facing inner sphere and they're using the C3 computers and stuff, and that will help you out greatly if you can get them into range of that and shut it down. So that's kind of like how I like using them. So overall, the Vulture is a good mech. The only thing, that downside I have to say about it, it doesn't have as much armor as a lot of the other clan mechs, because it doesn't throw it all in there. But do not be afraid to use it. And if you like the version I call the I version, with all the streak 6s, let me know, because it does a number on things. Try it out if you haven't tried or thought about that one. Give it a shot and see what you think about it. Alright guys, this is Hellcrex, and like and subscribe, hit that bell, so you know when all the stuff comes through, and we'll talk with you later. Hellcrex out.